Welcome to TV Toastmasters. Toastmasters, where leaders are made. My name is Allison Bennett, and I'm part of the Sporty Speakers Toastmasters group. And I am here today to talk with Harlan Wheeler. He is a best-selling author, poet, inspirational troublemaker, as well as a warrior of inspiration. He's here to talk to us about his new book on zombies and our inner zombies. Welcome, Harlan.
It's nice to meet you, Allison. My new book is called Quantum Change, A Zombie Guide to Self-Help. And this book was written for people that may have inner zombies that they need to shake off and develop better habits.
I know I've had some inner zombies in my life, and you must have had inner zombies in your life. What did that look like?
When I had inner zombies, you could imagine me weighing about 60 pounds more, on the couch, eating bad food, a truckload of bad habits, not getting exercise, not doing the things that I wanted to do when I was younger. And that's because I lost that inspiration edge and that motivation and the passion. So I had to decapitate my inner zombies to move to the next level.
Well, I'm wondering first of all, how did you get your zombie and how did you get rid of it?
Well, I identified my zombies. Obviously, when you're overweight, you know it. Obviously, when you're not in shape, you know it, and I'm not eating healthy. And these things are all connected, by the way. So I identified them, and then I went out and found groups of different people to support the things that I needed to change. Lose weight, a group for getting out and moving, exercising, and actually into a writing and a poet class. These were all free classes, by the way. So.
And a Toastmasters group,
And
I'm sure.
Toastmasters, yeah, I'm a member of the Sandy Toastmasters. Yes. Very great group of people. If you're anywhere up by the mountain, come join us every Tuesday at 6:30.
That's great plug. So I read your book and it was fantastic. One of the things I loved about it is that you write with funny metaphors as well as from real life experiences, and you have action plans. So tell us about your real life experience that happened that got you into this predicament.
Okay, well, my real life experience is from about 35 years of standing in front of salespeople. And that involves inspiring them, motivating them, recharging their batteries. So it just became like a part of me that I had all of this inside of me all the time, 35 years worth, and that's what came out in the book.
So was there a particular event that happened that kind of woke you up, or?
Well, yeah, there was, and that's in the book. It's in the beginning of the book. There was a car accident, and most self-help or motivational books don't start with a bad story, but this one did because it had to show you that I'm a real person and things happen to us along the way that can take away part of our life that we don't want taken away. And so I did have a bad experience, and I said, I just don't want to be in this spot anymore. I want to change. And that was what I called the quantum change. It wasn't over time. I identified the things I needed to change, and I did them.
So you just made a snap decision and started new habits.
I didn't even want time to think about it. I thought if I think about it, I'll back out of it, because you always think about, I think I'll go to the gym today. Now I think I'll go tomorrow. Don't think. Trick yourself into doing it.
Yes, and you know what I heard is somebody said to do a 2-minute thing. Just think about the next 2 minutes. Get up off the couch and get on your way to the gym.
Yeah.
And then keep thinking that way.
2 minutes, that's interesting. Yeah. You know, I've gone to the gym knowing I just didn't want to go. And I've snuck in there with the idea in my mind that I'm just going to come in and stretch out, and that's it. And then about an hour and a half, I leave with every muscle in my body burning, because once you get there, once you start doing it, you've got that commitment. You're there.
Right.
You might as well do it. And then you can start thinking, tomorrow I'll just stretch out.
And then it becomes a habit.
Yeah,
a simple, easy.
Simple habit, yeah. And it doesn't take that long to develop habits. They say it takes anywhere from 7 to 14 days. So if you have bad habits, what you want to do is identify those, and then replace them with good habits. If you're sitting on the couch all day, eating fried chicken or something, and you want to run a race, you want to do a marathon or 5K or something, you have to get up and go do it. And so as you develop a new habit, you're automatically getting rid of the bad habit. Because if you sit there and eat that chicken again, it's going to hit you in the gut when you're out trying to run.
And then you become a zombie.
Then you become a zombie, that's right.
Well, tell us more about zombies. Are there zombies in our life? And if there are, how do we identify them?
There are a number of zombies, and I identify them in the book. There are walkers, there are crawlers, there are all types of zombies. And some people are infected and they don't even know it.
So when you're talking about zombies, do they look like Walking Dead zombies, like pieces of their face are falling apart? Or
They look like people at the mall, and they look like people at Fred Meyer's. No, but I've had people say, gosh, I went to the store and everybody's just looking at their cell phone. They seem dead or something. But the zombie obviously is a metaphor for anything bad in your life.
Okay.
If you're lacking any kind of desire that you might have not wanted to lose, if you're lacking that could be an infection from a zombie. And people can be infected, not know it, and they can rub that off on you.
So is that just being around people who are zombie-ish and picking up on their habits, or how else are...
I have read just tons of self-help, inspirational books throughout the year from all the greats. And all of them say the same thing, that what happens when you try to correct yourself, you may have to lose a bunch of your friends because they want you in that same comfortable space that they know you in. They don't want you outside of that space. So, once you identify it, then you can make the decision, how much time do I want to spend with that zombie? Maybe you might want to cut the hours down because it will infect you. It will.
So what I hear is as you change, other people change the way they relate to you. And if you find that you're changing and losing some friends, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It might actually be a good thing. Is that right?
Yeah, it always is a good thing, I would say. Because if your friends have two choices when you're changing. They have a choice to root you on, good job, I want to see you succeed, or I liked you better when you did this. So which one is a true friend? The one that roots you on, like that one that wants to see you succeed. And why wouldn't your friend want you to succeed in anything you do? That's the kind of friends you need.
Exactly.
Right.
One of the things I love about your book is that you have action plans. And I like pragmatic, I like steps. Can you tell us about some of your action plans?
Yes, I wanted this book to be a book that you don't read and throw on the bookshelf. This book, I wanted it to set up by your desk, your computer, something that there's 3 or 4 different action plans throughout the book, so that you are participating with the book because you're identifying what changes you want to do. And one of the most important things I've ever found when changing anything is to put it on paper. And there's been a lot of studies on this. People who write their goals out on paper tend to get there a lot better than people who just keep it in their mind, because that's like a dream. But on paper, it becomes a goal, and then a goal always has a deadline. So this book has the action plan, so it ties it all together.
I love that. And I know that some people like to type things out. I know I like to actually do the physical writing, but that's my generation, I suppose.
It is easier to type, especially if you have autocorrect.
Yes, autocorrect.
I think I'm forgetting how to write, but that puts it in the book, and then you can always look at it. So you might want to write your goals on some other kind of diary or something like that. So.
One of the stories you have in your book is as you have decapitated your zombie, you started changing the way that you behaved with your employees. And you have a story about Jimmy. Can you give us in a nutshell what that's like?
Yeah, in a nutshell, Jimmy was a young kid that came from a very rough life, living on the streets of New Orleans. A friend of mine kind of adopted him from the age of 16 to 18. But he had a bad life, and when he turned 18, he was turned over to me. And I had the sales company, and I trained him in sales. Everybody fell in love with him. He was a wonderful kid, a lot of talent, and he became one of the best salespeople for about 3 years.
And then what happened? Real quick.
Then the zombies got him.
Oh no.
Yeah, and he went downhill.
And how did you get him out of zombie land?
You know, it's like Humpty Dumpty. You can't put somebody back together again,
Right.
but it was really interesting because we tried everything.
Right.
Nothing worked. I actually narrated this into a camera. I hid across from his apartment in the bushes with my camera, knowing that he'd come out at a certain time
Yep.
to go to our meeting.
Yep.
And I took 5 $100 bills and crumpled them up on his porch. When he came out and saw the crumpled bills and started unfolding them, he went crazy. This is his lucky day.
And that's great. And I think our reader or our watchers should read the book so they can find out how he really turned around.
Yeah, when he showed up at the meeting,
Yeah.
he was all gung-ho.
I love it.
Yeah, and that changed his whole, had gone all the way downhill, and that day he said, this is my lucky day. And he changed, quantumly, he changed that day. Now the $500 seems like a lot of money, and you don't have to do that, but Jimmy worked for our company and made our company a lot of money.
That's great. Yeah. You're such an inspiration. And before we wrap up here in just a second, I want to have you say a little bit about your Facebook page, just like 2 seconds.
Okay, I have on Facebook, I have the Warrior of Inspiration,
Yes.
and that page, every single day, 5 days a week, I write an inspirational quote, and I marry it to a beautiful poster, picture, photograph, something, and I put it on there. So if you like the page, you'll get that little motivation.
Well, this has been fantastic. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you, everybody, for watching our segment, and kill your inner zombies. Welcome to TV Toastmasters. Toastmasters, where leaders are made. My name is Allison Bennett, and I am the host for this segment of TV Toastmasters. And tonight, I am talking with Michael Brand. He is an entrepreneur, a businessman, and tonight we're going to be talking about how he uses Toastmasters in his daily life. Michael, welcome.
Thank you, Allison. Yeah.
So tell me, first of all, how did you get into Toastmasters?
Well, I used to do a little bit of speaking for a job I was on, or a company I worked for back in the 90s. And I was doing presentations. And one day, a gentleman came up to me and said, you know, you're pretty good, but you could be really, really good. And you should be trying out Toastmasters. Now, I had heard of Toastmasters before. I knew what it was, but I never really thought about, like, oh, that could apply to me. So what he was telling me was that, you know, you're pretty good, but you really could be great. And here's a way to go from good to great.
I love that. As having been a speaker myself and then kind of gotten out of the habit, I'm using Toastmasters to become great again. So this is terrific.
Yep.
So tell us about how you incorporate Toastmasters with your business and what your business is. And
Oh my God. Well, I speak across the country on issues around nonprofit organizations, but you know, Toastmasters is so much more than just the speaking part of it. There's the listening part of it too. And that's one of the things that's really helped me a lot is that we do the evaluation piece in Toastmasters. And it really helps me focus upon listening to a speaker. And when I'm doing that, what I'm doing is I'm looking at other people saying, oh, I really like what they're doing with this. I don't like what they're doing here. And I take that and incorporate it into the speeches and presentations I give. So we always overlook that piece, but the listening piece is really, really important as well.
I know for me, the evaluation was an important piece. Have you learned how to become a better evaluator? Have you learned how to incorporate that in your business?
Well, actually, in some ways, it's a curse because whenever I go to a conference and I'm listening to another speaker, right, I'm listening for how many ums they're giving. I could be in a business luncheon and I'm listening to that speaker going like, he really should use more of the room, or his vocal variety is not good, right? I'm missing the content sometimes. So there's that little curse that comes with it, but it's also been the fact that I'm a lot more I've trained my eye and my ear to look at other speakers and see what they're doing well. And that, so I can raise my game. Like, I want to be like that person. Yeah.
Well, and I think that would help you greatly in your business. And if your business is helping nonprofits become better, you can start with what they're doing well and what they can do better. So tell me a little bit about that.
I mean, absolutely, because, in this country, we have 1.5 million nonprofit organizations touching everything from, like Toastmasters is a nonprofit organization, arts, education, business development. And a lot of them don't tell their story well. They're passionate about what they're doing, but when they get out in public and speak, it comes across so generic, so bland. Like, where is this energy? I go into your office and I see all these people really working hard and being passionate about their work, and then I see a speech in front of a community group or a Kiwanis or Rotary, and I'm bleeding from the ears. I'm so bored. So I talk to them a lot. Like, you need to tell your staff as part of their professional development to go to Toastmasters. It shouldn't be an option. It should be part of your professional development offerings within your organization, to give them the time off to go to Toastmasters.
And I know, having visited many different Toastmasters, that there are a lot of companies such as Columbia Sportswear and Nike who they actually pay for the memberships, and management will send them to Toastmasters, and it becomes a part of their yearly evaluation.
Yeah.
So somebody thinks it's really...
Well, it has to be part of the culture. If you really look at where we're going as a society, public speaking, you think about the rise of TED Talks and all these little confabs, the ability to get up in front of a crowd, whether it's for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and deliver content and get people energized about your message, that is becoming such an important skill now in business. That if you don't do it, and you don't do it well, you're falling behind.
And I know there's a whole new segment of entrepreneurship that is Facebook driven. And people are doing a lot of Facebook. They're presenting what they're doing on Facebook. And I even have a friend who made over $1 million off of their presentations on Facebook. And so this is a whole new way of not only just selling, but communicating and getting people engaged. So I agree with you.
I mean, if you don't believe me, would you believe Warren Buffett?
There you go.
Because he listens to business pitches all throughout the year.
Right.
And he's always said, like, okay, if I'd be willing to pay $100,000 for 10% of your company, if you're a good public speaker, I'll pay you $150,000 for that 10%. And that's coming from Warren Buffett, because he knows the value of what you can bring in terms of growth of the organization if you can communicate clearly what you're trying to do and why you make a difference.
Now, you're the VP of Clackamas Stepping Stones.
Correct.
And how have you learned something or used your business skills to help make that a better transition? Or tell me about that.
You think about it in terms of touch points, right? Every time you interact with a client, that is an opportunity to draw them closer to your company or to leave them bored.
Right.
So when we look at being a VP of membership in my club, it's like when that guest walks in, from the very first time they walk in that front door, what are they seeing? And how do we interact with them? How do we make it a personal connection? How do we welcome them in? And then you even actually go before that. It's like, how are you inviting people to Toastmasters? I got to Toastmasters the first time because that gentleman said, you need to go to Toastmasters. I heard that, but it wasn't until somebody said, oh yeah, why don't you come visit my club? And I actually had somebody I could go with, somebody I know there. So it's the whole process of invitation. If you want to grow your club, you've got to do it one-to-one in invitation.
Well, and that's the same in business, right?
Yeah.
How to grow the business is doing the one-on-one invitations.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what is your favorite thing to talk about?
Ooh, I always love talking about organizational change. okay? Because there's a part of our, well, I shouldn't say part of our entire economy is changing.
Yes.
Whether it's globalization, artificial intelligence, whether it has to do with public financing, things are going to look really differently 10 or 15 years down the road. So I'm trying to prepare people like, the status quo is not an option. You're either going to have to change or die. And a lot of people they have a sense of that, but they just don't know where to go with that.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't know how to start driving change in their organization, but everything that we do is going to be, our grandchildren, the world's going to look a lot different for them than it does for us.
So what are your key cues about how to navigate that change and what they need to do differently?
Well, I always talk about the story of Martin Luther King, right? You go to any business event where they're talking about vision,
Right.
And they always haul out the "I have a dream" speech,
Right.
A great speech
Right.
belongs in the canon of American oratory. But what they fail to say is that for the 10 years before that, Martin Luther King went across the South, went across the country, talking to audiences small and large about why the status quo was not acceptable. He had to get people out of their comfort zone before he could do that "I have a dream" speech, right? Because they had to be ready to say for change. So I always talked about that in organizations. You've got to show people why today is not okay, that why we can't continue on like this.
Right.
And you have to hammer home that message many times before people will be willing to get out of their comfort zone and embrace some change.
And once they're getting ready to embrace change, what kind of strategies do you have for them?
Oh, well, that's really good. When your team is ready or when your organization is ready, then that's when you get into the vision. Where do we go? Where are we going? What does the future look like? When people decide okay, today is not okay. Where we're at here is not good.
Right.
Where are we going to go?
Right.
And that's what the leader needs to be doing, to setting out the vision. This is what tomorrow is going to look like. You have to help me get there. Right. So it's not just follow me, be a part of it and get there.
That's that whole engagement and getting people to buy in.
Yeah.
Buy in and be a part. And there was a tagline like, get on the right bus or get on the bus a few years ago.
Yeah.
And that's along that line.
Well, Jim Collins from Good to Great.
Yes.
Get the right people on the bus.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And get the wrong people off the bus.
Exactly. We were talking in an earlier interview about just really weeding out some of the people that are sucking you dry and not benefiting.
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
So if you had a minute to sum up what you would love the audience to know about Toastmasters or your journey with your organization, what would you say?
There are so many self-help books out there, right?
Yes.
But the best personal improvement program is Toastmasters. And I mean, it doesn't cost anything to go.
And why is it the best personal improvement program?
It gives confidence. What's the number one fear people have? Public speaking.
Right.
And if you can overcome that, what are you afraid of then? Yeah.
Well, and I think for me, one of the things I love about Toastmasters, opposed to just reading out of a book. I mean, we have manuals that we follow, but you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
You're actually getting up and you're practicing, and you're getting up and you're trying something new, and you're writing something different, and you're interacting. So you're actually in the doing of it instead of just being a bystander.
Sure. My first meeting I went to, they invited me in Table Topics, right?
Yes.
And what does Table Topics do for us? It teaches us that we can speak impromptu anywhere, right? So if you were to come up to me tomorrow and say, hey, I need you to do 5 minutes at my business luncheon, sure. What's the topic? I'll go do it. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And if there's just one last thing that you would love the audience to know, one statement for them to take home and to remember, what would that be?
Go. Go visit.
Don't-
Go visit. And also note too that there are so many different Toastmaster groups out there. Everybody has a different personality. Every group has a different personality. So if you go to one and it doesn't really seem like for you, just keep on going to others, and you'll find one where you fit in.
And I would say that is true for even if you're in a particular Toastmasters, you could go and try out other Toastmaster groups. I know that I, for a time, was a part of 5 different Toastmaster groups because I'm multi-personality or
schizophrenic?
Or no, just ADHD. At any rate, and I had my really loud groups and I had my quiet groups, and I wanted a variety because I wanted to be able to relate to all kinds of people when I'm speaking. So, well, this has been great. I'm so glad that you've been on the show. Thank you very much, our audience, for watching our show, and I look forward to seeing you next time. This is Allison Bennett. And really quick, before we go, if people want to get in contact with you, how can they get in contact with you?
I go to my website, which is michaelbrand.org, O-R-G, and that's where all my contact information is. I actually have a couple speeches there, too, if you want to see, see how I speak.
Love that.
Yeah.
michaelbrand.org. Thank you again, and have a great night from TV Toastmasters.
I joined Toastmasters to improve my speaking, listening, communication, and leadership skills.
Toastmasters gave me incredible confidence.
Confidence,
Great listening skills.
poise,
Great leadership skills.
Leadership skills.
the ability to speak in public,
Strength. A captive audience.
quality feedback from the more experienced Toastmasters.
Toastmasters really helped me improve my listening skills.
Sales skills.
Opportunities to go to different groups and widen my whole horizon.
Toastmasters has given me a more focused me, and I'm a much better listener. Toastmasters is fulfilling.
It's a great place to fail your way to success.
Wonderful way to meet people. Networking.
Strength. It's addictive.
It's a club of self-improvement.
It's an experience, it's a ride that you won't forget, and you'll enjoy it every step of the way.
Toastmasters helped me land a kick-butt job. I sang at one of my table topic speeches, and people liked it and applauded.
My business is doing great, and I'm very, very grateful to Toastmasters.
It's been a great experience for me.
Thank you, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmasters, for giving me so much confidence.
Thank you, Toastmasters, for everything.